A few days ago, we made a video about the PK Subban and Shea Weber trade, and how this trade was ultimately a win-win. You've seen win-wins in the past. Heck, you've seen teams get absolutely fleeced in trades in the past too. There are win-wins, there are win-losses, there are trades where both teams ultimately get the short end of the stick. The one that comes to my mind immediately, Brandon Preston, Zach Kassian. Yeah, that trade between Vancouver and Montreal. Pretty big lose-lose for both parties, to be honest. And so, with the win-win trades in the books and the win-loss trades and even some of the lose-lose trades going down, you kind of get familiar with how the system works, right? What if I told you, though, that there was a trade that happened in just the past few years that is not a win-win trade? It's not a win-loss trade either. It's not even a lose-lose trade. This trade between the Vegas Golden Knights, the Nashville Predators, and the Philadelphia Flyers is a lose-lose-lose trade. A triple threat of losses right here. And I can't really, even try to begin to wrap my mind about how this happened. So today we're talking about the three-way trade from all those years ago, and by all those years ago I mean last year, between these three teams wherein the Philadelphia Flyers ultimately traded away forward Nolan Patrick and defenseman Philippe Myers, getting Ryan Ellis in return. The Predators traded away Ryan Ellis and ended off the entire trade with Philippe Myers and former Vegas Golden Knights forward Cody Glass. The Golden Knights traded Glass away in order to get Nolan Patrick from Philly. This was a three-way trade, and I mean, you could technically say it was two individual trades. The Predators and the Flyers made a trade, and then the Predators and the Golden Knights made a trade. But they kind of happened all simultaneously, so we just like to say it's a three-way trade at the end of the day. But this happened back on July 17th, 2021, and a year from now, we're already seeing the worst-case scenario for a lot of these guys. We had talked about Nolan Patrick, the former Philadelphia Flyer turned Vegas Golden Knight, just a few days ago, and the really bad update we had seen about him and his career. Eventually, it got even worse when yesterday the Vegas Golden Knights announced that Nolan Patrick will not play this NHL season. Now, for Nolan Patrick, we already talked about what Elliot Friedman discussed on the podcast. He's got 1 year left at $1.2 million a season. It's not really worth it for the guy to go out there and retire right now when he's making this amount of dollars for the upcoming year. He will, most likely, just end up retiring and not playing ever again after the 2022-2023 season ends and he is free from the contract. You want to maximize every dollar you're probably able to get when you're in a position like he is, where your playing future is definitely not set in stone. He's 24 years old, was a former second overall pick, and we had made the entire video going over him several times, so you can go ahead and watch any of the prior videos we have made. But it gets even worse when you remember that, hey, at the end of his 18-year-old season with the Philadelphia Flyers, his rookie year in 2017-18, the guy was just barely under a point per game in the last, 30 games of the year, so it really becomes a game of what-ifs, right? Even those that weren't too optimistic about Nolan Patrick and his playing future, whether or not he would be the elite first-line center that people thought he would be back in 2016, you still thought he was going to be a good player, and I wanted him to be a good player too. It's just we didn't see that. He was robbed of a career by injuries, and yesterday we had that news. Yeah, he's not going to play the whole year. Let's go over back to Philly, because the player that the Flyers got in return for sending away Nolan Patrick and Philippe Myers was Ryan Ellis. We had made a video earlier in this offseason going over his injury woes too, and guess what? Yesterday, we had ourselves another update saying that Ryan Ellis will probably miss the entire 22-23 season with a possible career-threatening back injury. That is terrible. What the hell? We had Chuck Fletcher going out there saying that, hey, if Ryan Ellis actually plays a game for us this year, that would be a pretty good bonus. And yeah, when you're starting to talk about guys like their bonuses for your hockey team, it doesn't really bode well for the optics of whether or not he's going to be able to actually come back. Ryan Ellis played 4 games with the Flyers last season before getting sidelined with an injury, and now he is sidelined with another injury, not expected to play this season. And again, you can watch any of the other videos we had made on the channel talking about Ryan Ellis, because yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty big topic, and I definitely have had my fair share of talking about Flyers injuries over the past few months over here, so there's a little bit of an extended look as to Ryan Ellis and everything he's gone through in the prior video, but that's 2 out of the 3 teams' worth of returns in this trade already sidelined, and potentially permanently, too. Nolan Patrick was the return for Vegas, and he's going to be out. Ryan Ellis was the return for Philadelphia, and he's going to be out. So what exactly is going on with the Nashville Predators, and what's going on with their guys? Take a look at this. This is a tweet from Steven Wino that kind of summarizes it all. The July 17th, 2021 3-way trade. The Flyers got Ryan Ellis, the Predators got Myers and Glass, the Golden Knights get Nolan Patrick. Here's what happened a year down the line. Ryan Ellis is expected to miss the season, Nolan Patrick is expected to miss the season, and Philippe Myers opens training camp with Tampa Bay. Now, I guess you could say this isn't really a lose-lose-lose, because by virtue of the fact that Patrick and Ellis are both out, the Predators, the fact that they already have players that are available to them, the fact that Cody Glass is still there, it means there's already a win there, but just to make things dramatic, I mean, I remember all the hype for Philippe Myers back in the 2020 bubble. The fact that he was a good young guy for the Philadelphia Blue Line, that was a good enough trade chip to get the Flyers Ryan Ellis. I mean, there was potential here with Philippe Myers, and sure, it's not really going to be exploited by Nashville anymore. They traded him away to Tampa for Ryan McDonagh, of all people, who's a good player. But still, there were a lot of people going out there saying that the Ryan McDonagh trade wasn't really all too great for the Predators in terms of their salary cap structure anyway. Sure, McDonagh is a good player and he's an improvement over Philippe Myers, but Philippe Myers was supposed to be the prize, and Nashville sent him away. Meanwhile, with Cody Glass, you have yourselves a guy that is still trying to break out and find his role in the National Hockey League. He's been very good in the AHL the entire time, and I've been talking about Cody Glass on several occasions to the point where it kind of feels a little bit old just going over his story once again. But yeah, he was a point-per-game guy with Milwaukee this recent season and didn't really showcase that same level of success with the Nashville Predators. We'll see what he does next season, but I mean, for Cody Glass, I just really want this guy to go out there and become the best version of himself. You talk about that 2017 draft and Nolan Patrick being taken at the top of it, 2nd overall, and him not really fulfilling his potential. Well, Cody Glass, I want to see him do that successfully, and not even just Glass. I want everybody else in that top 10 to do well enough to justify the draft position, because Nolan Patrick, I mean, sorry, he fell out. Cody Glass is still there, he's got more to prove. Lias Andersson does as well. I think it's fair to say that Casey Mittelstadt can be a little bit better as well. Not to mention Michael Rasmussen for the Red Wings, and Owen Tippett now of the Flyers, because he was sent over to Philly in the Claude Giroux trade. It's kind of funny how everything goes back to 2017, but at the end of the day, this is the 3-way trade that we had seen. Cody Glass goes from Vegas to Nashville. Philippe Myers goes from Philadelphia to Nashville. Myers is no longer with the team. He got traded over for Ryan McDonagh, who's a pretty good player, but he's a little bit expensive. And you have Cody Glass, who is still marinating and still developing. You had yourselves Ryan Ellis, who got sent over from Nashville to Philadelphia, who has not been available and he's out for the year. And then you have yourselves Nolan Patrick from Philly to Vegas, who is also out for the year. This is a funny tweet that kind of just goes over everything in a pretty satirical way. Look at the reply to the update that we had seen here. Philadelphia lost with Ellis, Vegas lost with Patrick, Nashville lost with Glass. How does that happen? Then there are replies here saying at least Glass is going to get to play this season. I guess that constitutes as a win. And the reply is, hey, he's a replacement type player. Is that really a win? But still, I think maybe even on paper you could say this isn't really a lose-lose-lose because Nashville technically ended up winning, but if you go by expectation, hey, what did the Predators think they were getting in Cody Glass? What did the Preds think they would be getting in Philippe Myers? What did the Flyers think they'd be getting in Ellis? And what did the Golden Knights think they'd be getting in Patrick? If you go by expectation versus reality, this trade is an absolute lose-lose-lose for all parties involved, because everybody's disappointed here and everybody's not getting a player that is fulfilling their expectations. So talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about this 3-way trade and how everything has transpired from the day the trade went down to now. It's only been a year and a few months, and already we're seeing some very bad results out of everything that happened here. Talk to me in the comments all your thoughts if you're a Flyers fan, a Golden Knights fan, or a Predators fan. What are your opinions on everything, and what needs to be done to actually fix everything? Is that possible? Can you fix Ryan Ellis? Can you fix Nolan Patrick? I don't know, but tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99 And bye.